What's going on? What's going on, sippers and sniffers? Appreciate y'all for coming out, man. Especially on the notice. This is your boy Hidden Gems, one half of Sips and Sniffs, the dynamic duo. And man, I'm telling you, it is good to be back on the channel. What's going on, Joel? I see you over there. Son of the day is Nishan Ne Wulong Cha. Smelling good, my brother. You say you miss hearing that intro, man. Hey, we miss having y'all in the chat. My guy Dan, not the man. What's going on? Coconut Lagoon. All right, smelling good. Smell like a little tropical treat out there, a little happy hour. And my boy Rock T. What's going on? Rock Boy T. Man, y'all. Hey, as you can see from the thumbnail, we have a special guest on. Many of y'all might have heard a little conversation that we had during Black Owned Business Week, or what was it? Black Owned Fragrance Week. Um, Enjoyed the conversation so much, her background and perfumery teaching and everything else. I just had to get her on here to the channel to discuss her brand on our channel and talk about some of her new release or latest releases. So, y'all, with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring up Chevalier, owner, perfumer for the brand Pink MahoGhany. And that is a mahogany. All right. I spelt it right on this thumbnail. So please make sure if you look it up, if you Google her, use the spelling on this thumbnail. All right. What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Man, look,
Awesome.
I know I'm so happy we finally got you on here. I finally got you on here, ever since even prior to been trying to have a conversation with you, since I first got your
Right.
first sample that made the trip around the world.
Right. It went international.
It did, it did. And yet you only stay 3 hours away, but yet it took a whole month to make it to my doorstep. That was crazy. That was crazy.
That was crazy. Yes,
But
indeed.
yeah, Chevalier, man, again, glad you had some time at this point. I know it's in the middle of a tornado warning and everything, out here in Texas. You in East Texas, so y'all's weather is a little more drastic than
Yes, I
ours.
am.
But man, I am glad you were able to set aside some time, especially on this weekend. For those who don't know, Chevalier, of course, as I stated, is the owner perfumer for Pink MahoGhany brand. But she has two twin sons whose birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday to them if they're listening. And man, hey,
Yes, they
we're
they
gonna,
are
we're gonna get
definitely
into it.
inside, but
Yeah. No, we're gonna get into because I found out a little bit about them from checking your channel recently, and man, we're gonna have to discuss what they've been up to, on behalf of their mother. All right, but Chevalier, so
okay.
man, Pink MahoGhany. For those who didn't catch us on the Black Owned Fragrance Week, tell me where did it start?
Ooh, well, my background is education, and uh, Pink Mahogany actually was birthed out of a desire for me to want to provide fragrance options for myself. First of all, one of my favorite fragrances, and this is over 16, 17 years ago. I cannot remember which fragrance it was, but it was reformulated, and I went to go and purchase it because I was out of the bottle, didn't like the way it smelled, and I was like, something is off about this. And of course the sales associates are not going to tell you that there's been a reformulation. Now I think they are a little bit more transparent, but then it was like,
Mhm.
oh no, this is the same fragrance. But of course, when I sprayed it on skin, is missing, just a missing element. So I was like, okay. So I started digging and researching and finding out about reformulations. And oftentimes in those reformulations, lesser quality materials are used. And that those lesser quality materials were what were contributing to some of my coworkers and colleagues having adverse reactions due to
Mm,
using phthalates, which helps to increase the shelf life. So
Gotcha.
one thing led to another. I went down a whole rabbit hole of learning about phthalates, learning about different materials, and it just became this insatiable curiosity of wanting to next purchase some small quantities of materials and just kind of start trial blending just to see, how top notes, heart notes, and base notes react with one another. It was kind of just me exploring and experimenting. It wasn't necessarily me wanting to create a brand per se. So
Hmm.
my coworker, teacher at this time, elementary school, my students were telling me, "Oh, Miss Dunlap, you." At the time, my last name was Dunlap. I hadn't been married yet, and they were telling me that I smelled good, and my coworkers were like, "Well, can you bring me a sample of what you've been working on?" And I was like, "Well, it's not finished, but I'll bring it." So I started bringing
Right.
samples, just really, really small samples, because those materials can get expensive when you're working with naturals. And
Man.
they were like, "We think that you should do something with this." And I was like, "I don't think I'm even ready at the time." But I said, okay. So in my learning the Jean Carl's method of accords and blending different ratios of the top, heart, and bass notes, I said, well, I'm gonna try to create these samples with no phthalates just to see. And one of my high school friends, her son at the time had really bad asthma. She had really bad allergies, and she wanted a
Mm.
sample, and I was so afraid. And I said, well, I can't give you any disclaimers or make any claims, but I can at least send you a sample. If it doesn't work, then just disregard. And she
Right.
said, this is the first time that I've been able to wear fragrance in a long time without it making my baby sneeze and wheeze, and without making my eyes water or give me a headache. So that's when I kind of knew that I was onto something. Everybody kept saying, we think that you need to make this available for the public. So I did. And I named it Pink Mahogany because those are two elements that I enjoy. As you can see on my sweater, these are my brand colors, pink and mahogany.
Yes.
And that's how Pink Mahogany was birthed, out of just a sheer need or desire of wanting to create something without a material that was causing adverse reactions, just to see what the response would be. And it's been positive ever since. And here we are, this
Got
20
it.
years later. So I think it's done well.
Very well. As a matter of fact, as you know, I've tried several from your brand, and we talked about them briefly on there. One of them that I regret not getting at the time, but I think I do have it in the kit was, what was it, summertime? I think it was one. But you really do have a knack for this, and we talked about it before, but you know I always say, see a need, feel a need. And for you to have made that your purpose to make a perfume that's for the person that normally doesn't do well with them, that was significant, man. And I think the time that you put in to figure everything out shows in every perfume or every cologne that I've smelt. To be honest with you, the blends are you
Mhm.
can tell they're very specific, meticulous. I mean, you can smell how they're blended down to the detail in some of these, especially with the two that I want to quickly talk about that I enjoyed the most. I have yet to get one, but I promise you I have every intention of getting about the ones regarding your ancestry, your lineage. Tell us about the two of them.
Mhm.
What was it? I forget the first one. Tell us about the one about your great grandfather. How many
Yes,
greats
third
was it?
generation.
Third generation. Okay.
Third, the three. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
That one is Nettie Williams, and his actually launched first during Black History Month last year, 2024. And it
Yes.
was a long project that I did not want to rush because I wanted to make sure I captured his essence, seeing as how
Yep.
this is someone that I never met and only had photographs and stories passed down from my parents, grandparents. I wanted to really take time to launch his fragrance to make sure that it represented him well during a month where my ancestry and lineage is celebrated. So it was a
Right.
2-year process. I knew what I wanted it to look like. I knew what I wanted the end goal to be. However, I was not sure on the notes that I wanted to use. So the more I read about him, the more I was told information about him and saw pictures. It was a
Hmm.
slow connection that started to form. and I really began to tap in, if you will, to his personality. Just looking at his photographs and his stature and his astuteness. He was always very well dressed. The notes actually started coming to me. So it has that leather and oud base,
Yes.
and then it morphs from the leather and oud. You get that upon initial spray and also in the dry down. But I wanted to balance it out. I wanted it to be rich, and I wanted it to represent a rich ancestry and lineage, but I also wanted to capture his life. The leather, of course, regarding the slavery, but not just on the negative, in the negative sense or negative connotations. He wore leather belts. So I tried to capture that real leather essence, along with lighting it with blackberry accord. And it has a little bit of florals, just a hint of rose to give it some softness, but not too soft because he was definitely a man's man. And I knew that I wanted it to capture masculinity. And I know that in the fragrance world, there are so many blurred lines, but I wanted to make sure that this was a fragrance where it's like, okay, when you smell it, you can see or you can feel the essence of a man, whatever that
Yeah.
means, the individual that's smelling it, whether it's a woman that's wearing it or whether it's a man that's wearing it. I wanted it to be universal across the board as far as the experience. And so far, that experience has been pretty universal. So it's very
No.
near and dear to my heart. Yeah, and I launched the compliment to Nettie Williams, Ada Williams, um, last year on Mother's Day. So his was launched in during Black History Month, and then hers
Uh-huh.
launched on Mother's Day. She had ten
Well, let me say
children,
this.
so I think what'd you say?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, let me say this about Ned. You talked about how you wanted it to, to exude masculinity, especially for that time period, and that
Mm-hmm.
it most definitely does. I told you how good the blackberry and the tea blend were at the top, but the fact of how you blended the woody notes, the leather, it also gives it a sense of elegance. Knowing the time period that they grew up, we talked about that briefly, how leather was not an easy thing to afford or to come by. And so to smell like leather, let alone have leather, was a luxury thing, in a lot of people's minds. All right. And that
Mm-hmm.
you did that to the T on here. This speaks, I mean, when I smell it, I smell a man, a studious man in a room full of books and wooden bookshelves. I smell a man in a suit. I mean, the one thing that I liked also, one of the other things is the ink accord. You can smell it, and it literally paints a picture of a studious man in a studio room with books and bookshelves around at his desk in a leather seated chair with
Mm-hmm.
pen and paper in front of him. And when I smell that ink note, I imagine a quill and an ink. What do you call it? The little thing where you put the quill in and you write with it. I
Mm-hmm.
imagine that
Mm-hmm. I
off
know what
the
you're talking
smell
about.
of this. Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so good how you put this together. And for those who choose to, for the true, and I'm not to say that anybody else is not a connoisseur if you don't get this, but for those connoisseurs who take this art and create a picture in your mind as you smell it, as you sit down and enjoy this, this is this is a masterpiece. I won't lie to you. This is a masterpiece for the frame of mind it puts you in. This is a masterpiece for the picture it paints from your olfactory senses. This is beautiful. I won't lie. Ned E.
Thank
Williams is a beautiful fragrance. I couldn't necessarily wear it everywhere. It's not one that I would just naturally just say, hey, you know what? I'm about to go out. I'm about to smell like Ned. But it is
you.
something
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, it is a true work of art. All right. It is truly artistic. And this is what we would consider the definition of niche fragrance, of a niche fragrance. because this is very particular to whoever's smelling it. So kudos on that. And I'm sorry, we definitely got to talk about Ada because that was a work of art as well. But I'll go ahead. I'll pull back. I digress. Go ahead. I, I just had to give him some. I just had to give the fragrance
Thank
a little
you.
love, man, because it's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head when you said it's an experience, and it's not one that you grab as an everyday wear. It is one of those fragrances when you want to feel nostalgia or you want to connect on a deeper level. And I think that that's what fragrance should be. It should continue to hold the art and the creativity. We have nice bottles, you got nice caps, you got nice packaging, and then the juice may be a bit subpar because the focus is on just grabbing that person's attention on what they
Right.
see. But I wanted to merge the two, where when you see the bottle, you already kind of have a feeling of what you might
Yeah.
be getting ready to experience, kind of like either a segue or just a small teaser. So when you spray it, it's like, oh, okay, now I understand the black bottle. Now I understand the dark label, but it has the gold foiling. I understand the gold cap, which is a crown that has a black jewel on the top. So this is basically, it's not a rags to riches story, but it is an elevation story. So with each stage of wear, then it's going to take you through, pretty much take you through my third generation grandfather's life in just the hours that you're able to experience it with the sillage, if you will.
Well, this is beautiful, man. This is definitely beautiful. And let me give a shout out to Jason
Thank you.
Arshawn, man. He's in the chat. He put in there not too long ago. Let me go ahead and highlight it real quick. I know you can't see it since you're on your phone, but he put up, "How did nobody
Mhm.
tell me my own perfumer was live today?" We're gonna
That's my
we're
fault
gonna
because
get
we
into
did just talk too.
yeah, we're gonna get into that after I give you a moment to explain Ada. We're definitely gonna get into that because Jason, man,
Yeah.
look, love Jason. I still got to try out his fragrance. I messaged him so many months ago. So many things have been happening and whatnot, but I still have to. I have heard from so many people that have been raving about the fragrance that you did for him. I need to get my nose on it. I promise you, Jason. I will soon. All right. I've been going through some things, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, and I'll give you some feedback on it for sure. But right now, hey, and we got my guy Ray in the chat. I know you know Ray, Darling Perfumier.
Yes, that's my boy.
Yes, my guy,
Yes.
man. Hey, always showing love. He said he loves Ada and Ned. So definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we got Dan, not the man, putting your information in the chat as well for anybody that wants to take a look at what all she has to offer. We got www.pinkmahogany, MahoGhany, .com. And he
Correct.
also put the link into your Instagram page as well for anybody that's wondering. And of course,
Okay.
Jason gave a shout out, and of course he said second fragrance just came out. So hey, we'll go ahead, we'll get that on here, Jason. I'm gonna get you on here, and I'm gonna get a sample of your fragrance via Chevalier. All right, and we're gonna talk about it. But for now, let's talk about Ada.
Yes. Grandma Ada's fragrance was very interesting. It was also an experience because I did take the time to launch, and this was not something that I was trying to rush to completion, because I knew
Right,
that it was, this is paying homage to my ancestors. So I wanted to make sure that every detail was as it needed to be, all the way down to the bottles, caps, and then of course, the fragrance notes. So with her fragrance, I knew that I wanted it to be a floral, and it was just one of those inklings, just a knowing. I do not know much about her life. I don't know if she had a green thumb. I don't know if she loved flowers, but that's just what I kept getting. So I went with it. And, on her pictures, very no nonsense. I don't think I saw any smiles in her pictures, but it could have been because of the time that they were living in. But she was very stern. I did find that out. but she was still what I would consider a divine feminine. She was stern, but Grandpa Ned was definitely the leader, and they had a true partnership. So I kept getting florals, and I was like, okay, well, I know that I don't want to just use the traditional florals, the jasmines, the lily of the valleys, the rose. I wanted to use some florals that spoke a bit more to an ancestral side. So
Okay.
one day, my cousin, he was attending a private school at this time, a private middle school, and Mondays were my days to pick him up from school. So I went to pick him up this particular day. This was like right at the start of spring. And when I passed by this beautiful, looked like a beautiful vine of flowers, they were different
Mm,
shades of purple, lavender, deep purple, and some were already starting to turn white. And they really
mhm.
captured my
Yeah.
attention. And I was like, what are those? And they were extremely fragrant. I was riding with my windows down so I could smell them. So before I got in line to pick him up, I just kind of stopped and took pictures of them. And I kept going. So once I picked him up, I asked him, I said, do you know what kind of flowers those are? And he was like, no, but you could probably pick him. I'm sure he knows what I do. He's my one of my honorary interns, so he already knew where I was going with this. But I felt an urgency of, okay, I need to hurry up and pick these. For some reason, I just felt this urgency. So by Friday, I told the boys, grab some amber glass bottles. We're gonna just stuff them, and then I'll make a tincture out of them and figure out what type of flower they are later.
Okay.
Well, I had seen the same type of flower on a commercial here at home. And I was like, okay, that must be a sign that I need to use this particular flower. So I did a reverse search of the picture that I took, and it came up as wisteria. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's the flower. That's the flower, just the name alone. And I've never smelled wisteria, so until that day, but it just clicked and it was like, this is a flower that you need to use. But I had to be quick. So we went and we put as many of those flowers, the wisteria flowers with the vine, into those amber glass bottles. And I textured them for 30 days. And once I smelled it, I was like, okay, this is perfect. It gives it just a slight earthiness without it being too herbal. And I
Uh-huh.
also knew that I wanted to use a particular type of plum. I've never used plum before, but I knew that I wanted it to be Japanese umi plum. Again, I had not smelled this, but
Uh,
I was like, this is what I have to use. So the Japanese plum and the wisteria are kind of the star players, if you will, along with that coffee, cocoa butter ride. And the reason I cocoa butter is because, in our community, we know cocoa butter
yeah.
lotion very well. It's been around
You
for
know it.
for a
You
long
know it.
time.
Hey,
But I
number
wanted
one
to
moisturizer.
yeah, yeah. No ash with the cocoa butter. So, but yeah, I wanted to it to have an element of nostalgia for me, and to have an older, a more mature feel without it. We say in the fragrance community something smells old lady. I didn't want it to be that, but I
No,
definitely wanted it to have a mature element where when you smell it, it's like, okay, for some reason this does remind me of a matriarchal figure, but it doesn't give a grandmother per se, but it gives that
true.
nostalgic feel. So trying to combine that using kumquat. Um, I did use just a little bit of rose, just like I did with great 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 grandpa Ned's.
Man.
They do have the same tea base. So there are some cohesional aspects between the
Yes.
two. However, they're distinct. I wanted them to be individuals to stand alone. But if you did happen to purchase the two and you're like, you know what? I think I want to just layer this and see what it smells like. They do layer very well together. So
Okay.
hers was
Okay.
very interesting. It came together, I would say, a little bit faster than Grandpa Ned's because of the floral aspect. For me, the heart notes tend to be a challenge because the fragrance can get lost if you use
True. True.
too many heart notes and it becomes a bit muddled. I still wanted there to be a distinction from the top to the heart to the dry down. So it was very fun to work on and then to release it on Mother's Day. In addition to the Mother's Day fragrance that I already have, the staple,
Uh-huh.
a Mother's Love that I created for my own mom.
All right.
Now there are two options for Mother's Day and the main option for Father's Day, which I get that a lot. So Yeah, it was a joy to work on and to see them side by side in my office with the cards that have the poems on the back that my mom actually wrote. She's a poet and an
Nice.
author. So just tying in all of my familial aspects and being able to bridge gaps of perfumery. And it was like I received a spiritual nod of thank you. Thank you for honoring us simply by the way people describe the experience. It means a lot to me.
Okay, that's what's up. Now I will say about Ada, I love Ada. I'm a plum lover, as you know. We've talked about it. But the one thing that I do
Hmm.
get from here is the plum. I get the gardenia. I pick up the
Hmm.
rose, the gardenia, and of course floral aspects. And of course, on the dry down, I get more of the coffee and vanilla, right, on my skin.
Hmm.
However, I will say the one thing there are certain things, certain aspects, certain notes that make this, like you said, that distinguish this between um, a female fragrance and a old lady fragrance. And honestly, it's the upbeat, the brightness that's in here, as opposed to
Hmm.
uh, where it's just floral and it's kind of monotonous, if not going down. And that's really the citrus aspect that you put in there. Nothing very distinctive, but there is a brightness, and I can only imagine that it comes from the citruses, the lemon balm that I'm looking at, the tea, of course,
Hmm.
and of course a bright, vigorous floral, which is neroli. Neroli is one of the florals that they like to add in a lot of citrus summertime fragrances, and it does kind of provide an uplift to a lot of fragrances. So, yeah, I love the
Hmm.
blend here. I love how it goes off the skin. Honestly, this right here, and I know, it may be Mother's Day. I may have to get her a bottle one day and then wear it a little bit on her day. But that plum
Hmm.
florals are so good, so well blended. And I won't lie, it wasn't
Thank
today.
you.
Today I'm wearing combination of my boy Fetty Says and one from Chris Classic Ascension. But I have worn Ada
Hmm.
and Plum Fig by Fetty Says. And Fetty Says has a plum, a sweet plum, and a tart fig note that combine. And when I put that on my
Hmm.
beard, and of course, I got to go around and it hits my nose. But when I've worn Ada, it provides that brightness, that plum in there as well, and the floral aspect that literally makes it. I mean, it tangles together so well. So I can only imagine if this is based on your grandmother, that she was one that got along with everybody, even though she didn't smile in pictures. Because I
Hmm.
actually took your advice and put Ned and Ada, and it made a hell of a combo. And for you to say that they were such
Yeah.
a perfect match together and whatnot, I'm thinking, okay, so did you make half and half and make sure that they went together? Was this purposeful? You know?
No. Mm-mm, not at all. It's just the synergy between the two. I was spiritually in tune with what I was receiving guidance on what to use. And like I said, there are some similarities with the same T accord and the rose. But other than that, no, they stand alone. I didn't even review Grandpa Ned's formula to look at Grandma Ada's. There was nothing like that. It just happened that way.
Well, you did good. You did great, man. You did great. Well,
Thank you. Thank you. I,
real
I
quick,
wanted to say though, you mentioned that you were wearing Ascension today. So am I. So look at the synergy. We didn't talk
hey,
about like,
hey,
what we were gonna wear or anything.
look, look, hey, great minds think alike. But we have that connection
Yes, they
anyway,
do.
though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You teaching, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Both of us used to be in the educational field, loved it and whatnot, but we got out of it and in a sense
Hmm.
ran from it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And,
With
and
the
somehow
quickness.
we both ended up in the perfume space. So, I mean, hey, there's
Right.
definitely,
Right.
so great minds think alike. We good. I got you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But before we get
Yes.
into this sample set that I find, the second sample set, y'all, I swear, man, every time she sends me something, man, I tell you, I expect to get a passport and all types of stamps on it, but this sample set that she sent out to me, for the Black Owned Fragrance Week, we're gonna get into a few of these, if not all of them. But before we touch on that, Matt, let's go ahead and talk about.
There's a there,
Oh,
there's I see someone a question. I didn't want to dismiss the question.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Where we at? Because oh, are you on
I
ah,
see Jonelle.
yes. I must be missing it. She did say, is it more suit? Is it more of a fall scent, or is it suitable transitioning into spring or summer? What's your aspect? I'll give my answer afterwards.
Is if this is for Ada, I'm
Yes,
assuming. Okay.
I believe.
I would say I'm not a huge person to say, hey, this is more of this type of scent, but I will say, due to the notes that are in there, I will say that it's definitely spring, simply because of the floral aspect. However, you could transition into the summer as well because of the citruses that are in the top. You know, the kumquat, the grapefruit, there is a hint of mint. It's not meant to be minty, but it just to give that freshness so that those flowers are not heavy. I do not like heavy florals. And I was
Right.
actually nervous to even beta test this one because of the florals. So I would say spring, spring, summer. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would have to agree, and it's quite aromatic. It's not very dense, and it's somewhat soft spoken too. I believe because of the lavender that you put in there. The plum is a sweet
Hmm.
plum, not as heavy as you would imagine in other fragrances. So I think, and the musk is a soft musk as well. It kind of just
Yes.
almost like a covering to some degree. The musk and the lavender almost
Hmm.
cover it up to kind of hush some of the notes that can be strong in other fragrances. So
Hmm.
I agree with that. It definitely is a spring and summertime, and it is a sillage monster. It is on the right skin, on well oiled, well
Hmm.
moisturized skin. It will give you a hell of a sillage. It will. Point. I mean, there's no argument on that. So yeah, if you're looking for it, those are the 2 months I would. But I would even say, y'all, because of its potency, you can actually get away with it in the fall too. I think it would be good to wear in the fall.
Hmm.
So that's my thought. But beautiful fragrance. I
I
love what you did in the blends and whatnot. Great note selection, and it's a beautiful floral and fruity blend. It really is. But
thank you.
now, all right, now let's go ahead and touch on this because my guy Jason, you are his perfumer. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Jason and what is it that you do?
Absolutely. Well, Jason and I, we have one of those relationships where I honestly cannot tell you the exact date and time that we connected. And it's the same way with one of my other clients and friends, Katrina, with Lily Devon, that has Bubble Phase, the perfume Bubble Phase.
Okay, yeah.
I have tried, and I don't think I ever told him this, but I have tried to pinpoint when did we connect because it was organic. It was nothing that was rehearsed or coerced or forced. It just happened. Again, there was a synergy, and I pride myself on synergistic relationships, whether it's business or friendship or a combination of both. The unique thing about Jason and I is that there is a mutual understanding where I don't have to say a whole lot. He immediately understands after a certain time. I shut down. No more business. No more. Because my clients have a particular level of access to me that other individuals may not have. Because especially if I'm working on a project, I tend to make myself available around the clock. But there is a
Okay.
respect there that I enjoy. So I think that those elements actually make for a great way for me to create. There are no boundaries there. There are no limitations. So, and he's very creative in his thought process of what he would like to launch. So, All I
Mhm.
can say is we connected a few years ago, and it's been an organic connection, and to be able to have worked on two of his fragrances back to back has been phenomenal. Um, because I am not of Persian descent, to tap into a culture that I was not well versed in and
Uh-huh.
translate not an aroma, but translate a taste into an aroma that is wearable for the skin. I love challenges like that. They take me a while, but I do love challenges like that. So I have to say that his thought process, although I am the perfumer, his thought process is definitely that of not just a fragrance connoisseur, but a fragrance visionary. And I love that, to be able to work in tandem and bounce off of each other. And that's how it is with all of my clients, not just Jason in particular, but all of my clients have that same level of access to me, where they feel comfortable, because I believe that, if you are paying me to provide a service for you, it's not just about me trying to get you out the door to have somebody else to come in. It's not about money. It's about the whole experience. I really take my work and my artistry seriously. So, but I'm very proud of him, especially, this is not a business where you just kind of come in and come out. You have to think long term. Do I want longevity? Because if a customer or client does not want longevity and they're trying to launch, then I will
Uh-huh.
have them to rethink. Because, like I said, it's not about the coins for me. It is a lucrative service to provide, but I also try to think like a consumer and say that, if you're not ready, I can take you as slow as you would like to be taken, but just know that you are going. It's a cost. Perfumery, if
Yeah.
you're using quality materials, quality packaging, you have to have patience. You got to deal with deadlines. So, yeah, it's a unique partnership, one that I enjoy a lot.
Well, he put in the chat something. He said she did an AMA, and I asked her two questions. First was, can you translate music to notes? Hey, and we're gonna get into that because Chevalier, you know where I stand with olfactory sense, in the sense of in the auditory sense. You already know. Everybody out here knows how I translate one to the other. I can't smell something and not get a song at least in my head. All right, and then
Right,
and
right.
he
Yeah.
said when you said yes, his second question was, can you translate taste to notes? You said yes, and he said the rest was history.
Oh, wow. It's definitely history. Yeah, yeah.
Two
It's
years
it's
of it,
it's
right?
history.
2 years and two
Rich
fragrances
history.
at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, well, that is great. Tell us about. I tell you what, but you know what? No, tell us real quick about Jason's latest masterpiece by you.
Oh man. Zulbia and Bamier. First of all, I had to say it. It was like, we were practicing different words before we came on live. I had to practice the words because, I mean, it looks like it's spelled. However, for some reason, I kept wanting to pronounce it a different way. So it is much different from the first launch, Love and Bostoni. We know Love and Bostoni is based on Persian ice cream called Bostoni, with the pistachios and the saffron and, of course, the vanilla. But Zulbi and Bamier is one of those cultural delicacies that I had so much of eating it. And
Oh,
I even
okay.
told Jason, I was like, if I don't see any more for the next year, I think I'm good. And we laughed about it. But it has a completely different feel than the Love and Bostony. Love and Bostony has that cold aspect because it is ice cream. Zulbi and Bamier, however, I did not warm mine. I can definitely see it being warmed and being consumed while it's warm. I ate it just as is. It has more of a bready aspect, if you will, because it is a type of dessert that is bready as opposed
Okay.
to an ice cream. It's very sweet. It has like this rose. This is what I gather from tasting it. has a heavy dose, not the perfume, but just the dessert, has a heavy dose of what I consider to be rose syrup or syrupy
Um,
rose essence.
okay.
Um, it was very sweet, and I think after pregnancy, my sweet tooth has gone down a lot. So I used to be able to tolerate sweets, but it is very delectable. I can say that. Very rich. So again, translating what I'm tasting and putting it in bottle form to be worn, they are two totally different experiences. When we eat something, we're not necessarily concerned about, well, what does it taste like when I first put it in my mouth? What does it taste like as I'm chewing? What does it taste like
Yeah,
once I swallow? And then what
you
am I
know it.
left with? Yeah. And I know. I'm just eating.
Hey, once that thing
Unless.
hit, girl, hey, once that thing hits my tongue, I'm like, wait a second now. What is this? What is that? I'm
Yeah. Well,
clawing
I,
at
I
my
think it's taken.
tongue.
Yeah, I think it's taken to another level when I know that I am going to be translating this to be worn on skin, is what I'm saying. Now, I do love food. I'm a food connoisseur. But when I'm documenting, it's just very detailed, like what taste am I left with after I've chewed and swallowed. Now, what am
Yeah,
I left with? So it's a lot of nuances that normally I wouldn't think about. I'm just eating and enjoying because we know that
right.
food is, so eating is a sociable activity just as well as drinking different beverages. But translating that, and I know I've had friends to approach me like, how are you able to make something that we eat so realistic? And
Mm,
I wish that I had like this scientific explanation, but it's really just taking the time to smell while you're eating. And I know that that sounds weird, but it's like the two merge together for me. And I literally have a journal and I'm like, okay, I don't try to miss any details. And I'm just writing everything, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment. Once I go back, it happens every single time when I'm translating a taste to a scent. When I go back and I review those notes, it makes sense. And I'm like, okay, I understand why I wrote that. I didn't understand why I
mm.
jotted that down in the moment, but I understand now.
Well, let me say this. It's good, and I'm glad that you touched on that too, because a lot of fragrances, when you smell the fragrances, especially the gourmand ones, it's off of the initial taste. They don't really have a lot of them that wear
Hmm.
down after you chewed or the saliva has gotten to it. Where what does it do once it hits your tongue for the second time or anything like that? And so that's interesting. I definitely have to get my nose on that to see the evolution of how you evolve the fragrance into how the evolution of its taste. So that's quite interesting. But
Hmm.
I always tell people all the time, when you talk about gourmands, I like my gourmands synthetic as hell because, you know, I like for them to make the fragrance the way I like for it to smell the way it tastes. Because honestly, when we go
Hmm.
out there, we get a fragrance that says orange on it. It don't taste like that orange fruit that you eat. It tastes like that
Hmm.
orange, let's say Kool-Aid or something. When you put the sugar in there, once you sweeten it
Hmm.
up and everything, it's
Yes.
not a natural smell. That's not how orange or banana smell. You
Yes.
go to that store and you put a banana up to your nose, you ain't smelling what you think you smelling. So
Right.
I
Right.
think I think it takes a special nose, a special imagination, and a special creator to be able to do something. So I'm actually excited to smell that, to be honest with you, because I mean, the reason why I had to have you on here is because of the way that you do your fragrances, and so many other people, such as Mike from Day Three, my girl who's on here, Jay Chantel, the way she puts stuff together in body oils. I like talking to y'all and hearing how y'all create your blends and whatnot, because it gives me an idea for how your
Hmm.
mind processes things. It's not simple. And that's what I love about a lot of niche brands and indie niche brands, especially because
Hmm.
nobody's mind really works the same. And the way you put things together
Right.
is what makes you you. Whether it's your thoughts, creativity, how you talk, the way you put words together, thought all of that. is what makes you unique. And I love hearing about these creative processes because it's what makes your brands unique. And I don't just have every and anybody on here. I really only choose to talk to those that I really admire and I really enjoy and love
Hmm.
the creativity, the thought behind it. How
Hmm.
is it put together? If you challenge me to figure out either how you put it together, why you put it together, or what made you come up with this blend or whatnot, I become infatuated. Even if it's only for a moment, even if it's only for a few weeks, I become infatuated. I
Hmm.
fall in love with it, and I typically love to show appreciation for it because that's something that you don't find. No knock to them because when you start talking about big niche brands and whatnot, their job is to put together blends that sell, not that show creativity and
Absolutely.
uniqueness that show who you are. They are meant to sell, and I respect that. I
Hmm.
enjoy that out of them, but more so right now as being a bigger and bigger connoisseur of this hobby, I enjoy the indie
Hmm.
niche. I enjoy certain fragrances and whatnot, such as your brand. So,
Thank you.
but with that being
Absolutely.
said, hey, let's move on. Let's move on. All right, Jason, we didn't spend enough time talking about you and your Persian ancestry and how she put together. Look, I'm actually intrigued to see this, but we've spent enough time on that. We'll come back to you at some point. I'll have to have you on. All right, brother. But for now, let's go to this sample set, y'all. Beautiful new packaging, and I say new, should I say more recent packaging because initially last year when I first ordered the package, and don't judge her because I've had this package. When I tell you I was carrying it in my hoodie, in my backpack, my pocket, it's been all over the place. It's been roughed
Oh
up.
Lord.
It's been roughed up, man. I had this thing snowing.
International.
Yes, I had it at work with me. But this is what I originally got last year, I think middle of last year. And of course, she had the packaging. I just want y'all to see the evolution of the brand and how much she's coming up from the bottles to the selection of blends. Everything is coming. Now, love this. You got the silky inside. You got the individual little sprays. And these sprays are quality sprayers, y'all. These are some of the best decants that I've actually used to spray. Honestly, love them. All right. Had the little pink mahogany paper here. Hey, it was good. But now, you know what I'm saying? Since working with Jason and so many other people, she did upgraded herself, you know what I'm saying? And now we have this with the brand. You see the PM for the pink mahogany. You see, what does it say on here? An exceptional fragrance whispers, a good fragrance calls. So I'm guessing that you whisper,
I
huh?
do. I whisper a little bit.
A little bit. All right. Well, hey, that is what's up. And I have the, how do you pronounce that? Manukato? Manukato?
Manu
Is that what it said?
Manukato. Manukato. Yeah,
I'm
it's Swahili for perfume.
Swahili. And you even get a
Hmm.
little language lesson there. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the first one.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
through all these, man. This is great. And now these are what the decanters look like. And y'all as well, these are great sprayers. The atomizer on these are wonderful. Now, this one right here, first one that I got is, actually, it doesn't even say. It has a silver tab on it. Chevalier, did you give me one? What you give me here?
It had what I didn't see it.
It has a silver tab or a silver, what you call it on it.
That is, yeah, that is summertime.
Summertime. And for those who don't know, it's funny because Jason asked you if you could translate notes and music into fragrance and whatnot and food and whatnot. It's funny because might that by any chance have something to do with that Will Smith summer banger that we jammed for how many decades?
It does. It does. It's just meant to evoke the feeling of summer. Like, like I said, I'm a beverage connoisseur. I love sparkling water, whether they are sweetened or not, because you can really taste the fruit in them. They do an
Right.
excellent job, I believe, with sparkling water. So I just wanted to bring that cool vibe and think of things that speak summer. Like, we know the coconut, we know the tropical aspect, but I wanted it to have some fizz, have some sparkling aspects. I love lemonade. So it's got some lemon in there, sparkling Italian peach lemonade, if you will. So yeah,
Well,
the song
I'm
is
gonna go ahead
definitely, that was a motivation for me.
for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and let me go ahead and hit the skin. Yeah, a little fizzy, a little bubbly. All right, get the citrus, a little sweetness.
Hmm.
There's something else in here. It's not quite citrus, but it's kind of like a fruit. Hold on one second. It's almost fruity, but it's not your
There's
regular
banana.
fruit.
Yeah,
Maybe
banana,
that's it.
peach.
Maybe that's what I'm smelling because I can
Hmm.
smell it
It's
kind
a
of
it's a
blended.
caramelized banana.
Ah, okay. I get it. This is good.
Hmm.
This is light. It's not overly
Thank you.
fruity, not overly sweet. Let me see something here. So I'm
Hmm.
showing that summertime, summertime. All right. I'm showing the top notes are skin. Did you put skin in there?
Skin?
Shamali, I'm showing skin,
You
banana.
said skin?
It says skin.
Is
I'm on,
that my website?
I'm on Fragrantica. Let me go to your website. Maybe that's the issue. I'm on Fragrantica. Somebody.
Oh, I was gonna say, what? Why did they put skin? Maybe it was supposed to be. I don't know what kind of skin that. I have not seen that listing. That's why I was like, that doesn't sound like my website. They take the notes that they kind of play on them a little bit. When you said skin, I was like, wait a minute, is that the same
Yeah,
fragrance?
yeah. That's for whatever reason. That's what they put on here. So yeah, let me go in here real quick. Let me get.
Wow.
Yeah, they put skin on there right next to banana. I was like, yo, okay, that's interesting.
Mm,
I was like, you are something else if
that
you
is
put a
very interesting.
note in here. All right,
Oh my God.
you are something special. I tell you that much. Let me see. Summertime. Ah, here we go. So we're gonna go with
The,
the
the notes list is a bit long, so
yeah. I tell you what. Let me see here, because boy, you're oh there it is. But your list of fragrances is long too, man. Here we go. So we got sun-kissed, caramelized bananas Foster Accord. Bananas Foster, y'all, not bananas. Bananas Foster, okay? Blackberry wine, sparkling peach Italian lemonade with Quad de Sadat. All right. Yeah, that sounds too rich for my blood. All right. Hibiscus tea nectar. All right. Coconut milk, tropical fruit cocktail, sand and salt and musk. Now, Chevalier, couldn't you just keep it simple?
yes, sir. Never. Why would I keep it simple? Because it's an experience. I could have just said sandalwood, salt, bananas, caramel. That's basic. I want to take you on a journey. And I realize that not every brand does that. But it is my signature to take you on a journey. Before you even purchase, you're already envisioning that bananas
Yes.
foster. Even if you don't eat bananas, it's like, okay, I taste it. Even if I don't really like it or I don't think I like it, I think I want to try this fragrance simply because of where it's taking me just reading the notes. So that's how my brain works. That's that
No,
educator. I want to be
this
thorough.
is this is really well blended. And the reason why I say that, y'all, is because up at the front, I could get something different, but I couldn't make out exactly what it was. But I knew that these accords were not just your normal accords. These are really blended to a point where you really can't make out one or the other. Which in some cases, there are some that where it just smells like a blended mess, where they just put some stuff together. But this really goes together well.
Hmm.
But this is definitely a skin scent. This is something definitely for the high heat. All right, definitely for the high heat. Um, I'm not sure if this is going to
Hmm.
give sillage or whatnot, but definitely for anybody that's around you, they're going to smell it and enjoy it. This is good. I
I'm
like
laughing at
this.
Jason's comment.
Oh, where we at? What did he say? Oh, skin. Summertime at the Texas Chainsaw. Yeah. Yeah, I had to highlight that. I had to highlight that. I was
Woo!
like, oh, yeah, this guy.
For granted, got me out here in these streets selling horror perfumes, huh?
Man, I'm saying, hey, October comes, maybe. But no, this is good. What
Right,
made
right.
what made you come up with this combination for this blend? Let me ask that.
I wanted, I always like to challenge myself, and because I knew I wanted to launch this fragrance on my mom's birthday. Her birthday is July 5th, so she's a summer baby, and then I'm August 18th, also a summer baby.
Okay.
Neither of us really fancy banana, but I wanted to work with banana. I always just have these nudges to want to work with material just to challenge myself and see how far I'm able to push the envelope to where I would enjoy wearing the fragrance. That's not always my barometer, but it was for this particular scent and for her. She doesn't like bananas, never has. When I was pregnant, I consumed them a lot because I knew that my body needed the potassium, but it's just not a fruit that I would gravitate towards. And I smelled other banana fragrances, knew that they turned almost like Laffy Taffy on the skin, that synthetic that you were
Yes.
talking about. I wanted
Yes.
to create more of a ripened banana feel that still kind of has that greenness where it's
Yeah.
right on the verge of being able to be eaten, but maybe not quite. And then combine that with the caramel. So again, it's like building a story or building a song. What type of singers do I want? Do I want them to be in the background? Okay, I think I want the banana sauce to be pushed more to the front, but not
Okay.
dominating the fragrance because banana can be a bit heavy. So that was my motivation. And then I just wanted to surround that banana with those sparkling elements. You get a little bit of the citrus, lemon here, a little peach there, and then it dry down to this salty sand musk, like you're putting your feet in the sand at the beach without it being gritty. So again, not necessarily translating a taste to a scent, but a feeling and a good feeling. Summer is my favorite, not month, but August is my favorite month, but summer is my favorite season.
Okay.
Even though it can be very, very hot. So I envisioned myself being on a beach and having these elements surrounding me and trying to depict which ones I wanted to have at the forefront, which ones I want to go together, and then which ones I wanted to have as the base to carry the fragrance on the skin. So even though it is a skin scent, it does last. It does have what I would consider to be
Yes.
pretty good lasting power, at least 6, 7 hours on the skin.
Well, you've got enough denser notes in here that it should last. The biggest fear that I always
Hmm.
have is if it's too much citrus and too many white florals. A lot of
Hmm.
times it doesn't really last on my skin and on a lot of people's, from what I've heard in the past, unless some people put that little additive in there or something like that. But a lot of times those are
Hmm.
typically the chords that I usually fight with. Um, the more aromatic citruses and the more aromatic white florals. They typically, yeah, they
Hmm.
don't stick around. But this is good, man. This is good. I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna let it sit. I'm gonna come back to it because I think it hasn't fully developed yet. Like I said, I get some notes, but I'm curious to see if I can make out where that coconut milk and that hibiscus tea nectar, you know what I'm saying, and some of the tropical fruit starts to
Hmm.
come more. Because right now I am getting the banana foster, and I'm getting a little bit of musk, but I'm not really able to make out much, and a little bit of peach, but not much. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I'll let it
Hmm.
develop on my skin and go from there. But this is good so far, so good. Now I'm looking at my pack, and of course, y'all. She sent me Ned Williams again. You know, she figured I liked him so much on the first one. She sent me another one, and I will be wearing it. It's definitely a wear around the house one. But we're gonna move on to the next one, and this is one that I actually didn't really hear about until after I bought the first Discovery set, and that is French cuffs. French cuffs. Tell us a little bit about French cuffs.
Hmm. French Cuffs was the first fragrance that I launched to the public. And I created it using the Jean Carl's method. It is heavier on the base notes, if you will. So I did almost a reverse of the Jean Carl's method, where you get more base, the florals or the mid with it has a little bit of rose as well, but not heavily floral. And then it has some verbena in the top. So to me, it's one of those fragrances where again I wanted to challenge myself. It has an element of smoke, not necessarily cigar smoke, but more like, say you, and this may sound weird, but say you're barbecuing, that charcoal. It has a charcoal smoke element.
Okay.
However, I did not want it to be just a smoky fragrance, but I did want to incorporate a semi-smoky aspect. So my thought process for this was a gentleman who is in France. Why did I pick France? I don't know. That's just what I saw. He's literally wearing French cuffs. He may have just gotten off work. He has a corporate job. He's going to a pub, if you will, after hours, happy hour, just to wind down before going home. And then there is some smoke around him. So I tried to
Right.
capture that in that particular fragrance. But this is one where, and my mom is very particular about fragrances. We don't always share the same liking for scents. When I was working on this fragrance, I sprayed it on my sweater. I was wearing my college sweater at the time, and it was Thanksgiving weekend, and I was coming home, and it wasn't quite cold enough for a coat, just cool enough, much like now, just cool enough for a sweater. And I
Got it.
was riding with the windows down. I had sprayed it on my wrist, but it had gotten on my sleeve as well. So I was evaluating on my way home for the 2 hour drive. Once I got
Yeah.
home, I was talking to her. I don't know what we were talking about, but I was very expressive with my hands, and every time I waved my hand, I noticed she kind of frowned a little bit, but she never said anything.
Yeah.
Listening, but I am trying to figure out, what are you wearing? What is that? And I told her, I said, well, it's a fragrance that I'm working on called French Cuffs. And she said, it smells like France. Now, I had not told her my brief. I had not told her what I
Yeah.
wanted this to smell like. But the fact that she picked that up, I was floored. And I said, okay, it's done. It's ready. There's nothing else that I need to do. Even if I want to tweak it, I'm not going to. And that's hard for a perfumer, just like a musician. You want to go back and change some things, but it's like, nope, I'll leave it alone. So that was my cue. And because she is very, like I said, very particular, the fact that she picked that up, that was like my nod to say, okay, it's ready. Go ahead and launch it. And it's one of the underdogs because it's the OG in the collection. So I don't push it
Yeah.
as much. But those that love it, love it. And when they get to experience it, they can really feel the essence of, yeah, this takes me to a different country. I don't know how, but it does. That
Okay.
transportation. I like that aspect.
No, that's nice, man. I won't lie to you. There is something cozy about this. Now, I've never been to France, but from early depictions from
Me either.
cartoons and whatnot when we were growing up and little movies and whatnot, I always thought that if France ever smelled anything smoky, it smelled like cigarettes. Because every time you look up, people are everywhere
Hmm.
smoking squares. So so for you to say that you put in
Yeah.
charcoal, sweet smoke, and cedar, and I'm smelling this on skin, and I'm thinking this is almost like a cozy at the end of the night barbecue. Once the barbecue's all done, and you kind of smell the charcoal
Hmm.
outside, like I want to say like maple, maple wood and charcoal. You know how some people smoke and do the
Mm-hmm.
charcoal, but it reminds me of that, or like I said, a barbecue, or even after we used to do, what was it, in college out there in East Texas at A&M Commerce, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
uh, they used to have bonfires and barn fires, and they would use
Mm-hmm.
different types of wood, and as it's dying down, you would get that sweetness from whatever cedar wood or whatnot. And so that's what this reminds me of. I'm not sure exactly what
Mm-hmm.
lemon verbena smells like, but I can see
Mm-hmm.
how it gives a little twist on here. But the juniper is definitely soft, or maybe it's softening the smoky essence. But this is good. But
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, for you to say, I'm quite relieved, because I really thought that if I ever went to France, I was going to be out there smelling straight cigarettes and whatnot. I mean, from what the way it was depicted in my early childhood, that was my idea. So this is actually reassuring, and you know what? I might
Yes.
actually go ahead and move it up on my places to travel list.
Yeah. Well, I must say I've not been to France either. So this was like if Texas went to France. So you mentioned the barbecues, that
Okay.
aspect of the charcoal. Yes, that was intentional. So it's like if Texas went to France, but I saw the French cuffs, I saw the cuff links, I saw the gentleman,
Yeah.
maybe wearing a fedora, maybe not, So that was the process that I was taking myself through as I was creating. And it doesn't have a long list of notes, but the complexity of the notes that are in there, I think they work well together to give it depth.
Okay, well, I like that. I like that. And you know what? And it's perfect. If I'm not mistaken, I think at one point I was told, the cigarettes that they smoke out in France aren't heavy with nicotine like ours are. They smoke something more
Hmm.
similar to Slim. So, not trying to knock anything about
Uh,
French smokers, but they don't smoke
hmm.
their nicotine. I don't think their cigarettes, if I'm not mistaken, their cigarettes are not as heavy in the nicotine and the additives in there as ours are. So I can only imagine, if you ever
Hmm.
been around someone that
Hmm.
smokes slims or whatnot, it's not as strong. It's not as strong. So the
Hmm.
airiness could be relevant. I'm just saying. So hey, good job. This is
Hmm.
good. I would, I can honestly
Thank you.
say I love the artistry behind this. This is really well put together and very simple at the same time. A
Hmm.
simple combo, but it's very good. All right. All right. Now, that was French cuffs, y'all. French cuffs. All right. Say this right here, be having French men be putting the women in handcuffs off of this. I'm going to take your word for it. You know what I'm saying? But let me try this one. This next one is another one, Drunken Vanilla. Drunken Vanilla.
Oh,
Yeah. Heard nothing but good stuff about this one. I'm excited. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. I like this. Off top, I smell the liquor.
thank
I
you.
smell the vanilla. I smell, oh, the booziness is grand. And there's almost like a syrup to this, like a syrup in here. But it is good.
Hmm.
This is good. And this is, I haven't even held it up to my nose, y'all. This is just off of two sprays on the arm, and this is already in the air. Already in the air.
That's all you need. That's all you
Man,
need.
this is good. This right here is definitely one I definitely am considering purchasing. Seriously. This is good. Let me look at this. All right.
Thank you.
It says in here you've got Madagascan, Tahitian, Indonesian, vanilla bean, tincture, uh,
Hmm.
introtoxinfusion, vanilla. Is that all one note? Or is those like three or four different
Yes,
types of vanilla?
that's it's three different types of vanilla beans that I steeped in whiskey. So Yeah, that's where
Wow.
the intoxifusion comes from.
And the
Yeah.
next note is malt whiskey. I like that. And then you've got apple brandy, hint some of the sweetness. All right. Toasted
Hmm.
caramel, again, sweetness. Benzoin, just boosting up that vanilla with that one. Orange neroli blossom. Okay, I'm probably gonna get that one to dry down the floral aspect.
Hmm.
Spiced Jamaican rum. Chevalier, hey, you playing right into my Hey, I like that. Peach cognac, sandalwood, of course, cedar, and
Hmm.
pronounce that last one for me. Kiovu, Kiovu Shamoshi,
Uh,
Mazu,
it's
or
it's
Babu.
it's Swahili. Yeah, it's just Swahili for the way that I created the. I actually charred wood chips like they would if you were ordering a beverage, an alcoholic beverage. Sometimes they light the beverage on fire. So I did
Uh-huh.
the same thing with some of the wood chips. I did a combination of different types of maple wood. I did maple wood, cherry wood, and I can't oak wood. So yeah,
Okay.
and I honestly can't remember the the full long name, but it is the Swahili translation for that process. Yeah, just to give it some uniqueness.
Well, this is good. I won't lie to you. What made you come up with this one? What was the thought behind this? Because this concoction here, it is oh so boozy goodness. Seriously. And I mean, for the notes that you put together,
Thank
the
you.
peach, the Jamaican rum, and everything, you got to tell me what put this together. How'd you do this?
I basically wanted to create a cocktail, an alcoholic cocktail for the skin. And I wanted it to be boozy. I wanted to use vanilla. I know at the time there were so many vanilla fragrances launching, and I was like, well, I would like to also launch a vanilla fragrance, but I want it to be different. I want it to be straightforward, but I want it to be different. So I said, okay, well, I'm gonna make it drunken instead of it just being that linear vanilla that is powdery and can be a bit soft and just kind of basic on the skin. I wanted to amp it up with some adulthood. So that's where it came from.
This is good. Now I've worn vanilla, drunken vanilla before, and to be honest with you, it's good, y'all. 8+ hours. I'm gonna tell you like this. I had a decant of vanilla pyrum, which is from Lorenzo Pizzalia, and it has like 5 different
Hmm.
vanillas in there, and it's good, but it drowns me in vanilla. There is a rum and a booziness to it, but it is overwhelmingly vanilla. And
Hmm.
although it is good, it does become annoying at some point, about around the fourth or fifth hour. This right here, the way it evolves and you start to pick up less vanilla and more booze, and you start to get the different boozes in there, you start to get the different aspects of the booze. You do, of course, get the rum eventually, you get the
Hmm.
cognac, but you start to pick up the peachness in the cognac at some point when the vanilla starts to fade. But this is really good. This is really good.
Thank you.
It is long lasting. This I would consider this a date night. This could even be, say, for instance, a person like me, go out with the guys, with the fellas, cigar lounge, um, happy hour, go grab a drink. This is definitely for the fall and winter seasons. But honestly, date night, even in the summer, if you're in a controlled environment, I like this.
Hmm.
It's not cloying, but it is strong. There's a difference. It's not overwhelming. There's no aromaticness to this, but it is not so heavy and dense that you might even be able to pull it off in the spring. There's a chance. If you got spring like we do here, and like other places do at times,
Hmm.
you can wear this. You can wear this. Yeah, I like this, y'all. Beautiful,
Thank
beautiful,
you.
man. And that's not just me talking. I'm speaking from the way it was blended. I'm speaking from the notes and how they come together and how they dry down. That's the real killer. The beauty for this one is really in the dry down. All right. The beauty for a lot of niche fragrances is how they dry down, to be honest with you. That's what I enjoy the most. If it has more than one layer through the dry down and I can pick up other nuances and whatnot, I consider that beautiful. More than words, masterpiece by Zerjoff, right? Could I wear it? More than likely not. But would I spray it on skin and enjoy it every time it comes out of that bottle? I'm loving it. For me in my
Hmm.
life and the way I move around, it's not wearable. This right here, like many of my other boozy, gourmandish kind of vanillish fragrances, very wearable. I like this. It's definitely drunken vanilla, y'all. Get your nose on it. Get your nose on it. This is good, man. For real. All right. And the last one, I think this is the last one, is it? Let me see. Last one. Nope, I got two more. So first, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the one that you initially sent it to me for, but of course it didn't get here until like a week, yeah, like 2 weeks later. This was your more recent release, and this was the one I was supposed to speak about, but I didn't get it in time. This is Valentine. Man, hey, Shabbat,
Oh.
tell us about it. Tell us about it. I wanted to smell this so bad. So many women in my Instagram groups and whatnot were talking about it. Women on TikTok that I knew. I just knew, you know what? She has this new influencer program. I'm gonna go ahead. I don't want to be an influencer, but I do want to talk about the product and whatnot, right? I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and be a part of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, yeah. Next time,
Yeah,
maybe.
Valentine is it's interesting because again, cheesecake. You thinking about that, the cream cheese, the dairy, the slightly pungency that it can give. If you get a little bit on your hands, that lactonic aspect that almost gives a buttermilk vibe. How do you translate that to how do you put that on skin? And I struggled, I'm not gonna lie. And the only reason Valentine is even offered is because my classmate who has recently transitioned hit me up in my inbox and he was like, hey, I need you to make a cheesecake fragrance. And I thought, people hit me up and they just say stuff. And I was like, Daryl, are you serious? Like, you really want to be out here smelling like cheesecake? And he was like, I love cheesecake and I want you to bottle it. And I said, okay. I felt this nudge. Remember, I worked on intuition. And I said, okay, I feel like this is something, I don't know why, but I feel like this is something that I need to explore. And again, I like challenges. So I said, okay, Daryl, I think this was around last um, October, almost 2 years ago, October. And I said, okay, I got from October to the end or like the middle of January to get this together. So I said, okay, give me a couple months and let me try to see what I can do. I went through I think it was three different versions of Valentine, and they were all so pungent. I kept picking up, there is an aroma chemical in there that gives a cheesecake essence, but it was too strong. I had to dilute it and keep diluting it way down now to like 0.01%, so that it wouldn't be so strong that it overpowered the whole blend. So I worked on it for months and I said, okay, I need to amp up the strawberry. Okay, I need to amp up like more of a milky aspect, maybe not necessarily the lactonic cheesy vibe or like that Philadelphia cream cheese vibe. So it took me a while. And I knew that I was done when I was able to wear it. And my mouth was watering. Brought it home and let my mom smell it as well. And it was the same thing. Remember, my mom is like one of my harshest critics, which is why I mention her a lot. She's not going to
Right.
sugarcoat just because I'm her daughter and because of what I do. She's going to say, well, Like she did with Drunken Vanilla. The first version of that was
Right.
extremely mapley, and I do not like maple. And I was like, I smelled it, and I was like, Mom, did you leave some syrup open or something? And she was like, No, that's this fragrance. So I said, okay, let me tone down the caramel aspect and revisit. So yeah, same thing with Valentine. I said, let me tone down the lactonic aspect and bump up the strawberry so it's more mouth watering and less. I might be able to wear this, but it might turn rancid. I did not want it to be rancid. So I launched it. I sent Daryl his package. He loved it. And he was like, I was eating cheesecake when I went to the mailbox and saw that the package had arrived. So he was very excited. So I was happy that I was able to conquer this challenge and that he was enjoying it. So when he transitioned, when he passed away, it was like I had peace with his transition, knowing that I didn't brush him off and say, well, no, I don't think that's something I can do just because I might not want to smell like cheesecake, but I honored
Right.
his request. So now this fragrance has a completely different meaning for me because it is to commemorate our friendship. Daryl and I have been friends since elementary school, all the way through high school, all the way through college. He was a professor at an HBCU for criminal
Okay.
justice. So to see each other grow, and then he had a request that I was able to honor. So Valentine is different, is what I'm trying to say. So whenever I
Yeah.
smell it now, it's like I think about him. And I didn't realize how many men actually enjoyed gourmands to that extent. I know that men like vanillas, they like the florals and citruses together and the boozy aspect, but he had a specific request and he was like, yeah, cheesecake, strawberry cheesecake. And I was like, okay,
Look,
so that's
let me
how
tell you
Valentine
this.
came to be.
We love gourmands. Key is how many of us are big backs nowadays, you know? But I mean, honestly, we love gourmands. It's just that too many times we don't want to always walk around smelling like a snack, you know?
Hmm.
That's the thing. But, the appreciation for the realism of putting food our food notes and being able to visualize what we're smelling and what you're trying to get it to smell like is something that I think just people just naturally enjoy. And I'm smelling this
Hmm.
and I'm getting the strawberries and cream, okay, of course, normal. And it's not pungent or heavy, like you said. I'm getting a little bit of rum in there, but I'm also
Hmm.
getting like when I inhale, when I sniff for longer than a couple of seconds, not only do I get the sweetness and the fruitiness of the strawberries and cream and a little bit of the rum, but towards the end, I start to pick up that citrus, that little citrusy,
Hmm.
and I like that. Now, it is drying down a little bit, and I am starting to get a little bit of that crust feeling. I've always wondered
Hmm.
how people make those accords. I don't want you to tell me on here, but to be able to make that accord is something special. I've only been able to really get my nose on a couple of indie niche brands that do a really good job on that. That is yours. I have to give credit where credit is due. Nazar for Pine Cognac, and what is the other one? There's another brand too, but it's been about three or four of them.
Hmm.
But this is really good. And if this is if I mean this is what you made for him before he passed, man, I know he 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 passed happy and fulfilled, especially off of this. This is good. This is good. Now I'm showing you also have a
Thank you.
little rose in here. I want to believe that I smell a little bit of a
Hmm.
floral aspect, but I don't think it's that significant to a point where I actually like can truly smell it and like can truly defer between that
Hmm.
and the rest of it. But I do see the sandalwood. I know it's going to take a little while for it to dry down to really make that noticeable. And the white chocolate and vanilla, and then butter. This is good.
Hmm. Yeah, for that crust.
This is
Thank you.
really
Yeah, the
good.
rose is definitely that rose is more of a balancer, but I did want to list it because I know for some people rose can tend to stand out. stand out on the skin. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I let people know that it is in there. But it was intended to just be a balance so that it was more of like a tart sweet strawberry dessert and not a lactonic pungency on the skin. So it's just there to kind of give it a little bit of rounding out the edges for that dairy aspect.
Okay, that's interesting. Because at first, when I was smelling it, I saw rose on it. I was thinking maybe it was a tie-in, like a transitional note between the actual cake and the crust.
Hmm.
But depending on
Hmm.
how you make the rose, if it was more earthy, then I could see the earthiness tying into the crust. But this is good, man. I really would enjoy this. I wouldn't mind wearing it myself, but I would enjoy smelling this on a woman. This is good. And y'all, this is it. And the thing about it is that it's noticeable and it's soft, but it's not
Hmm.
weak. But you're not don't
Hmm.
buy this thinking that you're gonna just get something just straightforward, harsh, like and heavy like you would Latafa or whatnot when they make one. This is more realistic. It is softer, but you do pick up the details in it, and this is good, man. This is good. I like this. I myself can't wear it, but I could see why others would, for sure. This
Hmm.
is good. Well, hey,
Absolutely.
little silent clap there.
Thank you.
Most definitely,
Appreciate it.
most definitely. And real quick, we're gonna go over the last one, man. This is one of the ones I have not had a chance to really smell, and this is Velour Rouge. Velours Rouge or Velour.
Uh,
Let me go ahead. I want to go ahead and get to the page that you dedicated for this one because I have heard a lot about this. You were telling me about this and how so many people enjoyed this. I think when we talked during the month of February, and been a little anxious, a little excited to smell this, man. And Velour Rouge stands for red velvet. Now,
mhm.
let me go ahead and spray this on skin. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Red is my favorite color, so let's see if you do it right, if you depict it right. Oh man, it's not straight. There we go. All right, all right. Here we go. Velour Rouge, y'all. Velour Rouge. Okay. Off top, I'm getting the florals. I'm getting the rose. I'm getting some greenery. Uh, it's kind of a not an outdoor aspect to it, but kind of just like rose petals, rose in there.
Hmm.
Of course, you get the chocolate. You get a decadent chocolate in there, but it's not overwhelming. It's not
Hmm.
suffocating the florals. It's actually kind of playing well together, if not slightly behind.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm looking on here. Let me see. Cognac infused chocolate. Wow.
It couldn't just
We'll talk
be
about
regular
that.
chocolate.
We'll talk about that. You got some aged coffee. I get that. And you know what?
Hmm.
Maybe that's what I think that's what I'm smelling. The coffee and the cocoa. I think
Hmm.
that's what I'm getting with the floral aspect. Yeah, man. Look, y'all. Here we go.
There's iris too, so you might be getting that iris on skin as well.
That possibly is it, and I see that as rose and iris petals. So maybe that's where what I was getting with the
Hmm.
floral aspect. I was saying it smelled like rose petals. So here we go, y'all. Check out these notes before she explains where she came up with this, man. All right, and how she chose these accords of all things. We got yellow mandarin, okay? So we got a yellow orange, all right? Yellow orange, fruity.
Hmm.
Rose and iris petals, cognac infused chocolate, aged coffee from 2013. She put that year in there, just so you know. All right, we got cocoa, vanilla, velvet, and cashmere musk. All right. Why and how?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, um, as a kid, when I would eat red velvet, it was from the box. Okay, it
Okay.
was the Duncan Hines red velvet or Betty Crocker. So I wanted this to be a gourmet red velvet, something that you would go to a restaurant and order as your dessert, whether it's your birthday or something along those lines. You're celebrating, so it's a special occasion, right? So that's
Yes.
where the cognac infused chocolate came from, not just cocoa. It could have just been cocoa, but I wanted to add, again, some depth to it, which is where the cognac infused chocolate comes from. That yellow mandarin, again, is just to give it a slight brightness, even if for a small moment, so that it's not, we know chocolate can be very dense as well. Even if when you're eating it, it is a dense
It is.
delicacy or a dense
That,
dessert. So I wanted to brighten it just slightly with that yellow mandarin. And believe it or not, I actually looked at several recipes, several red velvet recipes. And hey, I'm sorry, that was my cousin.
are you good?
um,
Good?
I looked at several recipes and I saw that it had, different materials or different ingredients that weren't necessarily for taste, but were for kind of like supporting flavors so that something wouldn't be either too rich or too dense. So I took that from the recipe and again translated it to fragrance, where on skin it wouldn't just be chocolate because red velvet is pretty straightforward. I wanted to add some small nuances where you would have to kind of go back and keep smelling your wrist and say, okay, yeah, there isn't, like what you said, you could smell the element of the florals upon the
Yes.
initial spray, and then you'll get that dry down to the chocolate instead of it just being as soon as you spray it, it goes straight to the chocolate. I didn't want that.
No, for sure. And you did real good on that. Chevalier, I need you to turn your light on. All right. Turn that light on, ma'am. So we
I'm
can
sure.
so we can
I'm
see.
outside, so
All
it
right.
went
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
There was a
Yeah.
timer.
It's in Texas, all right. Just like I had to turn my it is after 8 and it is no longer daylight savings. It is dark now. All right. But
Right.
real quick, before we finish this discussion, let me say congratulations. We have pineapples in the chat. All right. And they said breaking news. Nettie Williams just nominated for the Golden Pineapples Best Men's Fragrance among Tom Ford, Hugo Boss, and Paco Rabanne.
Oh, wow. That is definitely breaking news. Wow. Wow, that's
Yes,
amazing. That
yes.
that is amazing. You got me
And
smiling till my cheeks hurt right now.
hey, good,
Thank
good.
you.
This day and it deserves praise. It does. It does. It deserves some acknowledgement.
Thank you.
Seriously. I mean, the artistry behind it. I can't be the only one that feels this way when they smell it. I mean, it's a true artistic masterpiece. It really is. It really is. I don't want to
Thank you.
go into detail again. If you want to hear how good of a masterpiece it is, rewind or catch the replay. All right.
Right, right.
But yes, but no. Back to Valentine's.
Yeah.
This is really good. Now, I mean,
Thank
now
you.
it's drying down, and of course you pick up essences of the musk. Usually I don't really pick up musk, but what I do is I see how musk interacts with it. A lot of time the musk either
Hmm.
makes it a little denser in some cases, or sometimes it kind of calms down certain notes and whatnot. But I get a
Hmm.
little bit of it in that you use cashmere musk, and it kind of brings it down, not to an earthy tone, but to a kind of a smoothness.
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. But yeah, man,
Thank you.
this is interesting. Now I'm on the website. I could have read it for all of them, but I wanted to get your story behind it. But check this out, y'all. Velours Rouge, all right, or Velour Rouge is a sensual, indulgent song that entices the senses with its mouth-watering notes. All right. It doesn't just refer to the chocolate cake, but it also represented by an elegant rose and iris chorded structure. All right. Vanilla cognac, cashmere musk, and velvet like woods whisper a nostalgic, passionate melody set to a smooth rhythm of true love. Now, when I hear this, and whatnot, I gotta ask you, you're talking a lot about music and rhythms and notes and whatnot. What song comes to mind when you smell this or when you were making this? What song would you
Oh
initially
man, I would have to say "Love Calls" by Chemistry.
by chemistry?
That's
That
that's
is
the
one
first
that
song. He
has
said, "Yeah, yeah," by
that has
Chemist.
slipped my mind. Hey, all right, now usually I don't put people on the spot, but I got to today. Chevalier, you just go ahead and hit a line or two. Hit a line or two for me because I don't remember this song.
Uh, I'm not. Y'all have to go YouTube it. Go
Don't
YouTube
do
it. Now
it like
I've seen
that.
Kim live
Don't do us like that.
because my light is gonna go off again. The
Oh
light's
no, no,
got a
no.
timer on it, you know.
Oh wait, wait, wait,
But
wait.
no,
Did you say
I've
Kim
seen
or
Kim
did you
live.
say chemistry?
Well, Kim is short for chemistry.
I didn't know that. I've been calling this man KEM Kim for the longest.
Yeah,
I've seen him in concert. I didn't know it was short for
yeah,
chemistry.
it's short for chemistry.
Oh, so
Hmm.
you're talking about where
He may
love
not
calls,
go. I don't think he
love
goes by it
calls.
anymore. Yeah,
Okay, but you're talking about when
yeah, yeah, yeah,
love calls your name.
yep.
Hey,
And I
all
guess because
right.
when I
Got
went to
you.
see him, yeah, when I went to see him live, it was years ago. I seen him twice live. Once about 2 years ago, and then once before that, at least probably 10 years prior. And his voice is like velvet to me. You know, I really enjoy his energy, the story of how he got into the music industry later in life. And you've never heard him in any scandals. You know, he's just smooth. Even on stage, he's smooth. So that was the first song that came to mind. The velvet that's in Velour Rouge reminds me of his voice, and he's not like a performer, like trying to be a performer. He generally captures your attention just by the way he sings, and I really enjoy seeing him in concert. I really enjoy seeing him live. So yeah, that song, man, and his lyrics, they have depth. So it reminds me of Velour Rouge because I wanted Velour Rouge to have depth as well. Yeah.
It's interesting
You don't
because
like cheesecake?
I do,
Mm-hmm.
I do. I'm not. I will eat some. I love the way it smells.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not always a big fan of the texture. A lot of times I like my
Mm,
cheesecake borderline frozen because I like a thicker nature to it. But a lot of people like to make cheesecake
mm-hmm.
kind of custardy. Um, I like mine,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so it just depends on who makes it and how it's
Yeah.
made, really. But let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
this,
Same.
Kim, definitely, I definitely get it. Definitely get it. Um, when I smelt this and when I thought about asking you this, a song came to mind, and right now I'm trying to figure it out. It is by oh man, who's the lead? You remember the lead singer of Pretty who sings Pretty Brown Eyes? Mint
Mint
Condition.
condition.
Yes. What's
Um.
his
Ooh,
name?
what was the lead singer's name? Oh man, if you hadn't asked me,
Stokely.
I'd probably be able to remember.
Stokely. Stokely.
Yes, Stokely. Stokely. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right.
Stokely.
There was a song, and you know which song I'm talking about, but there was a song that he came out with, and it was she.
Ah, yep.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
song that came to
I
mind, even though I can't sing it right now. But that song right there, this is where it takes me because I mean, first of all,
mm-hmm.
it does. I don't want to say it's a feminine fragrance, but it does lean in that direction. But it is
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable Men or women can wear it. It just depends on what you like, how you dress it up, the confidence you exude
Hmm.
while you're wearing it, you know. But for me,
Right.
it does lean feminine. I do enjoy it, but the song that comes to mind is definitely Stokely's "She." And hey, I love every bit
Wow.
of it, man. I love every bit of it. All right, so Chevalier, all right, that was. I've got a list of people that I've got to have on here for Sense and Sounds. All right, you are
Hmm.
now on that list, so ma'am, you're gonna have to free up time. Maybe not this month, but maybe towards the end of this month, next month, you're gonna have to free up time on a Saturday or
Okay.
Sunday. You're gonna have to come on, and we're gonna have to do Sense and Sounds, and we are going to pick anywhere
Okay.
from 4 to 5 fragrances. You are going to connect them with songs that they make you, how they make you feel, a song that connects with that, and yeah, you've
Okay.
officially passed the test. All right, I love that fragrance and Kim, most definitely. All right, not just because I'm,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
because I see where you're coming from. When you look at the lyrics and everything, I definitely understand. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of people don't understand. They don't get the connection. That's why I try and get people on there that
Right.
can really talk about how it connects, how the sense, the olfactory sense connects to the auditory sense. And for some,
Hmm.
this, like I have a friend, Ray. I'm gonna have him on
Hmm.
here soon, and he always connects his olfactory sense to his ability to identify colors. He smells, and a lot of times he
Hmm.
smells and colors, and I love that. It's
Hmm.
all about how you experience fragrances, and everybody has their own way. Some people have the
Absolutely.
same way, but you know, everybody has a different feeling. Everybody gets a different result, and that's what I love about it. And that's what we're gonna have to bring you on here for. All right, so be prepared. All right,
Absolutely.
I will
Okay.
need you to message me a day. All right, we can meet. We can match a time, but
Okay.
we're gonna have to get this going, man. All right.
Okay. I'm
But
in.
hey, sounds great. We're gonna talk about it. But Chevalier, hey, look, we have gone through your line, and I have literally enjoyed being able to experience Valentine's, one of the later releases. All right. Velour Rouge, yo. Definitely a nice one. Drunken Vanilla. Gotta get your nose on that. Got to get your nose on all of these, to be honest with you. Of course, we started off about the family value fragrances, Ned and Ada Williams. We talked about French
Hmm.
cups, definitely interesting. Definitely puts you in a mind, in a state of mind for, I guess, an expected trip to France.
Hmm. Yeah. That's safe to say.
And of course, summertime, man. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you like this. These are really good, beautiful artistic pieces, but so many of these are wearable too. These are wearable. So not only are you getting a chance to dive into her mindset and how she creates these things with the stories that are provided on her website, and if you're coming back and you're hearing a replay, you hear how she comes up with them. But y'all, you are getting a piece of her world, her creative world. And I think that anybody who decides to get a sample set of these, you will not be disappointed. There are so many that I mean, honestly, there's several that I want to get a full bottle of for just the creativity factor and for the enjoyability as well. I definitely will own Drunken Love. That's a definite. But y'all check her out. Check her out. Pink Mahogany, www.pinkmahogany.com. All right, mahogany is spelled Mahog, big H, A-N-Y. All right. And check her out on Pink Mahogany. What is it? At Pink Mahogany on Instagram as well. Check her out. She goes on there. She
Hmm.
does some of the funniest lives. All right. And then she is very informative on processes, how she puts stuff together, who she's working for, what she's doing. I mean, she gives a lot of background. She gives a lot of information. If you were ever thinking about starting your own perfume business or trying to get something going, she also gives a lot of little tips and whatnot on there. Check her out.
Absolutely.
My girl Chevalier, Pink Mahogany. Got to go support. Follow, like, share,
Yes, sir.
subscribe, whatever it is, whether she's on YouTube or Instagram. Go ahead and show some love, man. For sure.
Yes, the love, the love.
But yes, Chevalier, man, hey, again, thank you so much for coming on, and getting a chance, giving us a little time,
Absolutely.
a little time for your busy day, to shed light on your brand and some of these masterpieces that you put together, man. Seriously, I I am blown away by several and impressed by others. For real. This is good. I'm definitely going to be putting some of your stuff out there, but I don't want to hold you up too much longer. This is the boys' birthday weekend, it only
Well, that
comes
was
around.
no, that they celebrated all the month of March. Their birthday was in March, so they're good. This
Ah,
is April now. We all right.
well, I am
They'll be all
definitely
right.
oh,
But it
you
is
gonna be
cold out here though.
all right, all right, all right. Well, hey, I tell you what, I definitely want to talk about the creative piece that they came up with. What's the name of it again?
Hmm.
I didn't get
The
a chance.
peaceful tiger.
Peaceful Tiger. Look, I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna have to get a decant of that.
Hmm.
Probably get in a sample set or whatnot to
Okay.
experience the rest of them. But I definitely want to talk about that because I mean,
Hmm.
the way they were putting on for that on your lives and on your videos, I gotta get my nose on it. I gotta get my nose on it
Yes,
for sure. Oh, and look, we got
absolutely.
my home girl in here. All right, she's representing my honeybee store. She she said Kim is old school R&B, but she was with you, man. I
Oh
love the support,
yeah, yeah.
depth, and she says she's in awe
Awesome.
of you and your perfumery talent. So yes, showing
Thank
some
you.
love.
Thank you
But
so
hey,
much.
I tell you what, we will definitely have you on there. We'll get you on there for Sense and Sounds, and we'll touch base again. But I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. I will get at you. All right, Chevalier.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me as always.
Oh,
Okay,
and
sounds good.
do me a favor. Go ahead. I'm gonna put you in the back chat, and I'll be right there. I'm gonna go ahead and close up the show. All right.
Okay,
All right.
sounds
Be right
good.
back. All right, y'all. Hey, there you have it. Our girl Chevalier with Pink Mahogany, man. Hey, y'all go out there and show some love, support, man. She really is doing something special out there in the indie niche realm. Great fragrances, must try brand. All right. As you can see, pineapples, the award, I forget what it is, but it's a competition and whatnot. She is up for best men's fragrance. So that should tell you all you need to know. She's out here winning awards on several different platforms and whatnot. Go check her out. Go get a discovery set, if nothing more. Go show some love, support, man. But hey, thank y'all for coming out. JoJo, Mr. Clark, Jason, Miss Teresa, everybody who popped in, Joel who had to leave to go to work, Jared, Dan Not the Man, everybody. Thank y'all for coming out, support, Duck. Man, I know it's been a while. We're still working on getting Jason on here, but time is a little harder to come by for him. So we're gonna go ahead and continue in the channel, man. Hey, and I should be doing something tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see. Just stay tuned. I'll be putting out something either on IG or whatever. But thank y'all for coming out. We couldn't do this without you. We appreciate you for showing up and showing out, man. Appreciate all the love. Sips and Sniffs will be back in effect. Just bear with us. We're going to get it going, hopefully, inshallah. But with that being said, man, Y'all have a good night. We'll holler at you later. Where is my music? Cue my music. Here we go. Y'all have a good night. Holla back.